Dennis, just to wrap it up from the other segment, so you're saying in a volatile world, you do want to have exposure to consumer disposables. So companies like a Procter and Gamble.
Like Procter and Gamble stands out, Kellogg's, that sort of thing. They in a bear market, you will lose less in those than you will lose in other areas. You probably will not gain, but you'll lose less. And in a market that goes down 10 or 15%, if you're down 3 or 4%, you've won the game. So
Okay.
looking to consumer disposables to me makes them in a good sense. And also REITs. I'd like to own REITs that own commercial real estate. Commercial real estate has been under duress for the past year and a half, and it's reached, I think, a level of being oversold. So consumer disposables and commercial real estate REITs to me make sense. Good returns, good dividends. You'll lose less in a bear market.
Okay. And gold?
Gold's been going from the
Long
lower left
term?
to the upper right for a period of time. I continue to be bullish of gold. There are times when you are to be bullish of gold. There are times when you are to be bearish of gold. There are times when you're to be neutral of gold. But I think the geopolitical circumstances around the world and here in the United States mandate that you, on balance, be a buyer of gold on any weakness.
Okay. And speaking of wild cards, let's talk about the U.S. elections and the impact you see it having on the economy and the markets, whether it's a Trump versus a Harris win. What are you looking at?
Historically, and some would say hysterically, Democrats have tended to be better for economics and better for stock markets than Republicans have been. The Republicans have tended to be, and the operative word here, tended to be, they've not always been, tended to be fiscally conservative and therefore deleterious to economic growth. Democrats have tended to be bullish and expansionary and therefore supportive of economic growth, which sounds contrary to what people want to believe, but that's the history of it. That's the fact of history. In all likelihood, the manner in which the presidential election has transpired in the course of the past month has been stunning, to say the least. A month ago, I would have said that Mr. Trump, who I will vote for, I'm not a great follower of Mr. Trump. I think his ideas on tariffs are terribly ill-advised, and I wish he would stop calling people names. I wish he would just tout what he did while he was president, and he did a very fine job. Act your age instead of acting like the age of a 12 or 13-year-old. But I think that he's going to lose the election at this point.
Hmm.
Miss Harris has done a reasonable job of staying quiet and letting Mr. Trump err. And that I think is detrimental. I find that disconcerting, to say the least. I would have rather have seen Mr. Burgum be the nominee. I'd rather have seen the former governor of Florida been the nominee. I'd rather have seen Mr. Rubio have been the nominee. I rather would have liked to have seen the Senator Haley from South Carolina be the nominee. I'm disappointed that Mr. Trump was able to become the Republican nominee, but I think he's his own worst enemy. I'm going to vote for him, no question about that. But
Hmm.
I think he loses.
Do you have concerns, though, that Kamala Harris's views from the past are very, it seems, anti-growth, to put it lightly? She seems to be
She's
quieting on
she's
those previous stances.
she's very left wing oriented, no question about it. She's trying to backpedal away from her previous statements, and I hope that that comes to a detrimental impact in the next several weeks. Again, I will vote for Mr. Trump, but I'm afraid that she's going to win. She's backpedaling as fast as she can from statements that she's made historically that were, I think, overtly left wing in orientation and deleterious to economic growth. And that I find dismaying. I'm very disconcerted and terribly non optimistic about what's going to happen in November, early November, of the elections.
Hmm. What do you think would be the impact of a Harris win on the economy? Because you can backpedal, but it doesn't mean you're going to not do what you've always believed for decades.
I think she'll do what she always believed for decades, and she'll backpedal up to the election, but she'll go back to what she believed in, what she constantly touted for all of her years in a position of authority. So that I find dismaying.
I wonder what that will end up doing to the economy and the markets then.
It will not be good. Maybe over time, the tendency for Democrats to be expansionary will be supportive, but for the announcement that she wins the election on that Tuesday evening will be, I think stock prices will decline rather substantively. If she continues to advance in the polls, stocks will come under pressure ahead of that time. Right now, she's got
Well,
a 1 or 2%. Right now, she's got a 1 or 2% lead in most of the polls, and she's winning in 5 of the 6 or 7 battleground states, which I find amazing in the course of 2 weeks how things have changed.
All right, Dennis, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Catherine, it's great to see you. Let's do this again sometime in the future. Honored to be asked.